Oh,
Okay,
it's
well,
too late. You didn't come on Saturday because of Captain Ron, so.
Well, welcome everybody. You're hearing the group banter, a little live banter there, entertainment with our evening entertainment tonight. I'm Captain Ron. Welcome to another episode of Fearless Flight Live. This is for anybody who is afraid to fly, somebody who knows somebody who's afraid to fly, or people who just like to stay up on aviation or listen to Eric tell jokes. Or our guest jokes tonight. We have a guest jokes or so. Anyway, welcome. Quick word about joining Facebook. If you have not joined our Facebook group, we're up to, I think it's 863 today. So we'd like to keep that growing. It's a great place to access others and to give and receive information and experiences. And as you'll probably hear tonight from some of our guests, the social component of overcoming something like this, like fear of flying, is really, really important, and it helps immensely when people get together who are of like mind. So I had a couple of I have several questions that we won't get to all of them, but we'll talk about those a little bit. With me tonight are Eric Larson and Tracy Solis, Tom Toka, John McBrarity, is that?
There you go. Very good.
Okay. And Wendy May, and they all went flying on Saturday. Well, you wouldn't have been there because it was the class that we've been running, the 201 class, and I was in the hospital this past week. So on Thursday night when the class came up, I just finally gave up and said, there's nothing planned about this whole thing, Ron. So I did it from my hospital bed there, and I was prepared to just kind of defer the whole thing for a week because I wasn't going to be out in time to make the flight. And Rachel, I think, was the first one to say, I'd like to fly. And then bless her heart, Wendy said, she had told me privately before that, she said, hey, if anybody wants to go flying, I'll mentor them. So that's what we did. And so we had 3 takers, 2 of whom are here tonight, along with Wendy, and we're going to move right into that. So I'm going to push this back into speaker view so that whoever has the floor can. Okay, I think that's good. And we'll go into the gallery mode there. So Wendy, we're going to talk to you first. What the heck were you thinking when you volunteered? Well, first of all, you took the course again. That could look badly for me because it's like, it wasn't enough the first time. So what was the story behind that? Why did you decide to take the class again?
Well, I never took the class the first time.
Oh, that's true. You just got stuck with me one-on-one, basically.
Right, right.
Yeah, okay.
So
was it the same information, or did I, because I usually change my mind about a lot of stuff. So
it was the same information, but more expanded. And I was able to talk to more people that were in the same boat as I was.
Yeah. So it was helpful, even though you just had a tremendous breakthrough. June 21st, wasn't it, that you first launched on your own, flew from Orange County to Phoenix, only to hook up with me, not hook up, only to meet with me and Tom and Oliver. And then we flew back to Orange County and back, and then you had to get on an airplane and go back again. So that was kind of a fun story. So let's just talk about Saturday. First of all, I want to thank you again for volunteering to do that. It was never so well timed as it was this Saturday, since I bailed on everybody there. I know people think I have a fear of flying, but I'm trying to keep that under the carpet here. So anyway, and so the thing is that I want to ask is, what was your motivation to fly on Saturday with people, just out of the blue?
Because I know after flying with you, what a change that has made. So we flew in June. Since then, I've flown now 15 times.
Wow.
I literally got my life back. I've gone on vacations. I've been able to be with my family. I've been able to do things that I haven't done for so many years, that if I could just hold someone's hand and help them to feel what I felt, I wanted to be that person.
Yeah. And people ask me all the time, or make statements, well, I don't really ever want to, have to fall in love with flying. I just want to be able to get on and do it. But I tell them, I used to say, okay, that's okay. But now I say, don't set your goals short, you know, because if you do it enough, it's not about loving it or anything. It's just about getting really used to it. So you look quite comfortable, and, you know, I don't think you would have volunteered if you were really, you know, if you weren't comfortable.
Not only do I not fear it, I actually really enjoy it right now.
Yeah.
I enjoy flying.
Yeah. And if there was a breakthrough moment, what would you say throughout, you know, from June 21st to here? Maybe there's more than one, but what would you describe as a breakthrough moment if you had one?
I think there were two. The first was when I flew out to Phoenix and you had told me to do all of the things, talk to the gate agent, talk to the pilot. It's part of my fear was not having any control. And no, I wasn't flying the plane, but I had steps to do, and I had things that I could do that I could control, and where I could sit on the plane, and all of that made me feel a little bit less like that victim mentality and more of in control. The second part was probably actually doing it, because my other fear was that I was afraid I was going to have a panic attack on the plane. Yeah. And you told me I might feel crazy inside, but I'm not going to actually do it. And I'm not going to embarrass myself. And I didn't. And once I realized I didn't, it was like, okay, I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to get to my destination faster and safer than I could any other way.
Yeah. And I'll ask this, and then I'll move on to the other two here. So when you met everybody there at the airport there, describe that, you know, could you see yourself in the others, or what was it like?
100%. I don't know how many times I told the three of them, I know exactly how you feel. Yeah. And that feeling of, I'm going to run out of the airport, I can't do it. I know how that felt, because I called you and said, I'm going to leave, I can't do it. And yet I did it.
Yeah. And that I tell people that is so crucial, to have some kind of plan. Eric and I would never think of going to work without having a plan, you know, and granted, the more times we do it, the more it's on board our own personal computers and stuff, you know, our brains up here, but nobody would do that. But that's the thing about fearful flying that I've learned, that you all have taught me over the last 35 years. And that is, you got to have something, particularly those moments when you want to bolt, because they'll be there. They'll be there. And so, John, I'm going to move on to you there. So what was the experience like for you? What was your pivotal moment there? Or how were you doing when you arrived at the airport?
Oh, that's a bad question. I got in my car, started driving towards Orange County Airport, and a light came on which says that my coolant was getting low. Oh, so I thought, suddenly the heart is going a little bit. And then when I got to the airport without the car actually stopping, I got there at 8:20. I didn't find a parking space until 9:10. And it was, I mean, look, and that was pretty bad. And I was convinced I wasn't going to be going. And then I turned a corner and, oh no, there's a parking space. I guess I'm going again. But it turned out that was probably, looking back on it, that was the most stressful part of the whole deal, was the driving there and then 40 minutes looking for a parking space. I just couldn't find one. And those were all bad omens as far as I was concerned. Sure. But then I saw Wendy, and she was, you know, she kind of looked to my direction like, do we kind of know this guy from somewhere? and Wendy was the perfect mama bear. She took care of all of us. It was great.
Those would have been bad omens if it was Ron and I, and we were just going to work. We would have been on the phone to crew scheduling, trying to decide whether we wanted to tell them about the parking space or the coolant, or both. We would have been racking down the list of excuses on why we couldn't go in there.
As far as the flying went, you know, a little bit of nervousness when you start to go down the runway, and then you're off the ground, you're up there, and you're going, and it was fine. It was great. And on the first flight, the cabin crew were stellar. They were wonderful. And that helped a lot.
Was the agent there from Southwest? Did she pronounce her name Eno?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard from her. She wrote me a nice little note and said, thanks for letting us help you. And I said, wow, thanks for helping us, and with the class this time, doing it online and stuff, I have a lot of opportunities leading up to that to make contact with people out there. And I went through some of the folks here at the Phoenix station. And so when I heard from them, she was like, hey, thanks for all the information, and it turns out it was really helpful since I wasn't going to be there ultimately, but they were real nice. And I've similarly heard from Burbank folks now about this weekend's flight too. So were you, one of the things that people ask me, John, sometimes is, or alarms them, is when they don't feel anxious. Like I've had people call me up right at the gate about to board and they say, I'm really worried because I'm not feeling as anxious as I thought I was going to be. Okay. So I don't know whether that was, you sound like you're pretty calm and collected. And how long had it been since you'd flown, John?
I worked that one out. It was actually 45 years ago this December. It was coming December.
Oh my God, that's a tie for the all time. The one other person that I had the record was 45 years. So
I've got 44 years and 10 months. So go ahead and check with him. He might be behind me.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's not the hands down winner. That's incredible.
Yeah. And Tracy, let's talk to you. So you and I had flown together. We worked one-on-one together. And what the heck is what's up with you? You decided to keep coming back as well.
I did. Yeah, I did the 101 classes in Phoenix for a couple of years in person, and then COVID came. And then you and I flew. You came and got me in Ontario, and we flew back to Phoenix, and I stayed with my daughter 4 days, and then you came back with me to Ontario and dropped me off.
Yeah, and you flew again right after that too, wasn't you?
And then I flew again. A family thing. And then I didn't fly again. And then this opportunity came up, and I thought, I really wanted to do the whole thing because of COVID. I just got caught up in that. So that's why I definitely wanted to take the class this time, like Wendy did. So
yeah,
do the whole package.
And when, looking back at your history, was there a breakthrough moment for you that you could identify when you felt the shift, or was it more of a gradual thing?
No, I mean, I think it was when you and I landed, even in Phoenix, and then again when we landed back in Ontario, and it happened again this time too, because it had been a while. And I think Wendy's really right. You have to keep doing it. And I knew that, which was another reason why I wanted to fly again, because I want to keep doing it. And I got back into a little bit of a nervous state, and Wendy was holding my hand, lots of sweaty hand holding. It was very sad for her. But anyway, but the point was getting off the plane and knowing that you did it. And that, I'd put in all this work, and I read the book, and I have the harmonize, I've done all of this. And I got off, and I felt powerful, and I felt confident, and I felt celebratory, whether it was the time I flew with you or this time. I mean, I want to just, stand up and party. It just feels so good. I mean, it's still nerve-wracking, but it's a good thing.
And I'll throw this out to all of you. Were there any moments during the flight, either up or back, where you felt your anxiety get triggered?
I did. Just the only time I was sort of wondering what was going on, and I was actually going to ask you or Eric about this. So when we came back to Santa Ana, we went way out over the ocean, and then I felt like we did a right-hand turn like 3 times, and I thought, is that the normal approach? But I started feeling like, oh, why are we just turning and turn? Because turning is a trigger for me when we're kind of banking. And so I always feel like, okay, can you straighten it out now? Right. And it felt like it went on for a long time. I don't know, Wendy's landed there lots of times, but it felt like we were just doing 360s out there.
Well,
so
Eric can comment on this as well. When you get down there, the primary airport in the LA basin is Los Angeles International. I mean, there's as much traffic going in and out of there as there is all the other airports combined at times. And so when you come down there, they purposely keep you way out to the west off the coast there to keep you out of the departure traffic off of LAX, because they're coming up, taking off over at you basically to the west, and then they make a big sweeping turn. So they keep you out there, take you down over Catalina, and then bring you in, and then you're landing to the south. So you've got to eventually turn northbound along the Orange County Airport, and then go north, turn around, and come back and land to the south. So that's why. So it adds probably, what would you say? Probably adds a good 5, maybe 7 minutes, right, Eric?
Sure. And that's working great. And the more time you're wasting out there, what the controllers are doing is looking at what we call sequencing you in with the inbound arrivals that are kind of coming straight at the airport, coming from Phoenix, coming from Dallas, that kind of thing. So they'll have a line of straight in arrivals, and they're guessing where your turn is going to come on what we call downwind parallel to the airport, where they can turn you in the sequence into the line. So if you're out there looking at scenery and then looking at more scenery that's the same as it was the last time you went over it, it's while they're waiting to put you into that sequence, plug you into that line.
Oh, that makes total sense. Because Wendy, how you can see the planes coming into Orange County. And if you're on the 55, sometimes they just kind of hover over the top of you when you're going down that way. But we didn't do that. We did the other thing. So that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Waiting to plug you into the line.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. So let's kind of wrap this up. And then tonight, I've got a ton of questions. Some from Scott Robertson, and then another, I forget who the other person was today, but this is my dream come true, is that you all will keep feeding us information that you want, so that Eric and I don't have to keep boring you with stuff that we're trying to make up that might be interesting to you. So we're going to talk about air traffic control, and that's a perfect segue to that, on how they kept you out of the way of the LA traffic there. Last words, John, anything of wisdom to anybody out there, both the people that are going to fly this weekend with me out of Burbank, and anybody else that's out there wondering, can I get over this?
Well, if I can get over it after 45 years, and anybody can do it, seriously. And one of the great things about this past weekend was that I like to call them the girls. The girls were so supportive. It was everybody had everybody else's back.
Yeah.
It was just that we were all going to do this.
Yeah.
John, was it an event on that flight 45 years ago that got you into this?
Not at all. 45 years ago, I flew from Indianapolis to Chicago to Portland, and then from Portland down to Eugene for Christmas, and then back the same route back to get back to the place in Indiana I was at the time. I was actually playing in a band at the time. We had Christmas off, and we had to do the New Year thing. And then I drove to Long Beach. But after that, I didn't fly. And then it got scarier and scarier. And just the thought of being in a plane was the most awful thing.
But it wasn't an event on that trip or anything.
Nope, not at all. I'd actually flown quite a bit in the 70s. I never had any real problems. A little bit of a nervous flyer, but nothing weird, nothing that would put you off.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Tracy, how about you? Words of wisdom for anybody out there?
What I think is really neat about the program too, is the people who are choosing to go flying, that moved their flight and all of that. The thing I thought was great about it was just hearing everybody else's journey. There's the support that John's talking about, but hearing everybody has a different story. And you realize, number one, you're not alone at all. And that everybody's manifestations are even a little bit different, and how they got there and how they're coming out of it. And each of those things is valuable. So those connections that you guys are making with the people and bringing us together in that way, I think that was, something that's going to be really valuable to those that choose to go flying in the group, for sure. Helps a lot.
I learned some more about Zoom here. I've been using Zoom long before COVID and all that, but the thing that for me, I got over my own anxiety about bringing people in, because I've been on the receiving end of Zoom of webinars myself, and I found I'm kind of a chicken heart for the most time. I don't like to necessarily get on there. So when they go to the breakout room, sometimes I would actually ditch the group for a while and go do that, you know. So I'm projecting onto all of you all. And the first one was a disaster because it was supposed to do something I didn't expect anyway. But I got some really good feedback about the breakout room activities and being able to connect with people. Rachel in particular, she connected with Alex, who's down in Australia, and it mirrored what you said, Tracy, in that, you know, everybody does. I say to people, everybody's unique. You know, there are some similarities, common themes, and in psychology going on, but for the most part, everybody's got their own little twist on and you think that you are unique, you know, and it makes it hard because we tend to isolate when we think that we're different or weird or something like that. And so I was really encouraged by the whole thing, and I'm going to be making some minor changes for the next class that I'm going to start up here in just another week and 2 days. So anyway, Trey or Wendy, I want to again thank you for stepping forward and volunteering, and you are now on my permanent list of people. But it was really great for you to do that. So any words of wisdom from your point of view?
Well, it was a privilege for me. So thank you actually for letting us do this. The only words of wisdom that I would share is that John and Tracy, we talked about this, the sense of shame and guilt and just how crummy you feel about yourself when you have this fear and you let it hold you back in your life for so many years. And as Tracy said, the sense of power when you get past it and you actually face your fear and you go through it. If anybody is even questioning whether or not they should try to do this or that they want to do this, you cannot even understand how great it feels to push through that, to rid yourself of that shame and that guilt, and to open those doors and be powerful and empowered as you move forward and do something that you didn't think you could do.
That is so true, Wendy. You know, and I just have to add one little thing. Okay, I'm a hot mess. And if I can do this, honestly, like it's, you know, I don't want it to sound so easy, but even if you're a complete hot mess like me, I don't even get in elevators, okay? I mean, I'm a mess. And honestly, it is so freeing. To your mind and your soul. So that's all I'll say.
And having been there with you, I just want to reinforce too, Tracy, that you would repeatedly tell me that. And my feedback to you was there's absolutely no indication on the outside that you're in that kind of inner turmoil, you know, because there, you know, however shame-based and fearful our brain is about exposing our vulnerabilities to other people, it has the top one, even over fear of flying and worrying about making a spectacle out of yourself, is do not make a spectacle out of yourself. So even the worst person that I've ever flown with that said, you know, I've had panic attacks, whatever, and I can never hardly trust when they tell me what it was like, because they're always describing what their inner state was like. And, you know, and I've flown so much now in the back and become so aware by virtue of all of you out there sharing your experiences that you look nothing on the outside like you do on the inside. Now, that's not to say that you might not tear up or something like that, but the average person has no idea what you're going through. And in fact, you know, you've heard me say this, 25%, I figure any flight I've ever been on has people equal to you or worse. That's just the numbers. And if we hit some clear air turbulence, everybody on the airplane is questioning why they got on that day. Because it's startling, right? You know, so anyway, well, thanks again. Thanks, John. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Wendy. And thanks to Rachel, who couldn't make it here. We're gonna just do a little bit about air traffic control here. There's a couple of things we could talk all night about that, but I'm going to take this opportunity here.
Awesome job, you guys. Really.
Yeah.
Really.
And so,
Awesome job.
let's see. So we'll do that. Okay, so there you can see my board. Let me see if I can share my screen. So the first thing, okay, and you all can stay there. And if you've got questions, we would love to have the questions come out there. So I'm gonna try to find where did it go? Oh, I got it.
Ron, we're going to have to come up with something. It occurs to me that our credibility has taken a few thousand rounds through it with Wendy, because she had to haul herself over this bridge and could communicate that to these guys. And we have not had to beat an animal like that back into the closet to go. That gives her a pretty big leg up on us in terms of credibility as a tour guide. And when she started talking about that, I'm just sitting here going, uh-oh.
And we know how essential we are not, right, Eric?
Right. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, like, oops.
All right.
Well, when you guys go international, you're going to need Wendy anyway, because you're going to need people all over the world to go flying with other people.
All right.
I don't think we'll run out of people, that's for sure. I hope. And
Okay.
the more we reach, the better it is, really.
That's right. And Wendy will be part of the team, the Fly with the People team.
We're getting commentary about how we're out and she's in already. I didn't
Oh,
think.
please. I don't know anything.
All right.
Well, I don't know
So-
if I agree with that.
So let's start with the micro picture, Eric, and we'll just work our way out. We were talking with our guests here before we went live here, and we were focusing on this thing over here. Eric calls that the fish finder. And you want to just talk a little bit of just, give me a couple of minutes, Eric, like we were talking about, and we'll tell people. So this is we're looking at layered systems, if you can think about that. So there's no one thing that is protecting you out there. There's a whole chain of elements out there. And this really comes down to one of the last ones, because this is direct information for pilots. And we have direct control of the airplane, and we can follow this. So what kind of information are we displaying here, Eric?
So what Ron's talking is we're talking just about airplane separation now. How do we keep from having mid-air collisions and that kind of thing? And we have rules for different altitudes for direction of flight. We have the controllers watching it. And our last layer of defense, as he said, is this system. And I always get the acronym wrong: Traffic Collision and Avoidance System, or Advisory System, TCAS. And we call it the fish finder because those little symbols for airplanes in there sort of look like if you're driving around a boat looking for fish with a fish radar. But this thing is a vertical velocity indicator, shows us how rapidly we're going up or down, and it reacts instantaneously when we move the airplane. And right now, the airplane's level, and it's showing 4 other airplanes close to us. The airplane in the middle is us, and the little hashed ring around it is a 2.5 mile diameter. 2.5 mile radius. So that the red airplane is 2.5 miles from us, and the others are close. Let
me just interrupt there. So
Okay.
so every symbol on here represents another airplane, or it could be a UFO, but we're just going to stick with airplanes right now. So this one here is it's -02. What does that mean, Eric?
So this is showing this airplane closest to us is of major concern, A, because of the color, B, because the closest, and it's showing only 200 feet below us, even though
Okay.
he's 2.5 miles away. And our system is is commanding us to do something, in this case, to climb at least 1,500 feet per minute to improve that separation. And while it would be commanding us to do that, it's commanding him to descend to widen that separation as quickly as possible. The two airplanes.
And let me just ask this, Eric. So it's showing a range of all red there. So I'm assuming that means that those are not options, but then it turns green. So what does that mean?
That's showing us it doesn't want us in any of those other ranges that are red. It wants us to climb the airplane, such as our vertical velocity needle would be in that green arc where Ron put the pointer, between 1,500 and 2,000 feet per minute up.
So it's not making a mild suggestion. It's saying, hey, get your ass up and out of this area,
Yeah.
vertical speed wise. Okay, great. Okay.
And given the other airplane the same command, only other direction, telling him to descend.
Yeah. So, and where is this in relation to our forward vision, Eric? Is this like, this is like the center of our instrument panel, or where is this thing?
Immediately to the right, and depending on which airplane you're in, but immediately to the right and below the center instrument cluster. It's a real obvious plane forward view. If you have a whole picture, it's very close. And depending on the airplane, that will also be displayed on the center electronic EFIS gauges. That thing may be displayed right in front of your face as well, but it's real obvious and right there in your scan, so you see it immediately.
So I mentioned that in part because one of the questions that people have asked me for years is, their first reaction to looking in the cockpit is, oh my God, how do you know where to look when? Well, you do that from training. You don't learn that in day one or on any given day. You do it overall. But so information like this, we know, and I don't remember if you mentioned or not, but this also comes with oral warnings, right, Eric? And so if I'm, for whatever, looking in another direction or something like that, it alerts me to pay attention to that particular instrument.
It would first, as you close, it would first say traffic. And when it turned red, the oral thing would mimic what it's telling you to do here. It would say climb, or descend. And if it was urgent, it would say climb now, or descend now. And if you only started climbing at 1,000 feet per minute here and you were short of that green arc, it would say increase climb until you put that climb right there where it's commanding you to do it. So it's talking you through it while you're doing the maneuver.
Okay. All right. And so since Tracy had the awareness to notice what that means you were looking out the window too. I
saw so much cool stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I know I even look out the window after a while as a pilot because it was so interesting. So that was a joke, folks. But anyway, all right. So let me see. Can you see that? We got a little bit of a glare right in the middle there. But I just this is my crude representation of the Los Angeles area coast down there. Here's LAX out here, and they've got 4 runways like that. And this is the big mamu in the Los Angeles area, because you've got traffic constantly coming in from the east. That's their preferential runway system for noise abatement and all that. And then all the departures go out here. And there are various departure procedures. But if you're going anywhere back to the east, you're going to take off and you're going to make a big sweeping turn around San Pedro and off the shore of Orange County over here to avoid all that. Well. Our class, our flyers were coming from Sacramento. Okay. So they were coming down from the north. And so what they've got to do is they've got to get all the way down here, and they've got to, they have to get up here so they can land going that direction. All right. So and they can't just descend here because you've got Ontario. What else, Eric? You got Ontario, Riverside, the garden, the National Guard base,
Burbank, Long Beach.
Burbank.
He's talking about the little ones too. Chino, Fullerton. Everything. Hawthorne. Just a massive compression of general aviation airports there.
So you've got 5 major commercial airports
and Long Beach.
And Long Beach,
Long Beach between the two of them, which would be a major deal.
Yeah, and Long Beach is, I think, somewhere right over here or something like that. Okay, so anyway, so what they do is what Tracy was noticing is they, instead of coming right down the center of the California proper, they come down all the way outside of the influence of LAX. And then I think we cross over that, don't we, Eric? Normally go to the east of the field there.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a couple of old there's an old Marine base over there.
Austin.
Yeah, the big hangars, the big airplane hangars over there.
Yeah, you see the dirigible hangars up there. So anyway, then you have to go past the airport, over, around, and down, and that's why it sometimes for the average person who has no clue, you might think we're lost up there, but the reality is we're just following air traffic control instructions, and they're keeping us separated. And going back, and then we'll call it quits here for tonight. But when you go back to the fish finder, if you remember that, as Eric said, it doesn't just paint airplanes that are in the air traffic control radar, who have instrument flight clearances, which all of us have to be on. It'll show little airplanes. And even though they should not be in certain airspace, if they are in the airspace, we want to know that. Okay. And so we'll see other airplanes. Now they have to have a transponder. I don't think we get raw data of that. Do we, Eric?
No.
Yeah. So, but that's another requirement now, and that went into effect years ago, where a little airplane flying in a high volume traffic area, even though they're not flying under the same rules as the airliners, they have to have certain equipment. And some of them, you can't even enter the airspace without that equipment for safety reasons. Okay. And so I just thought, we'll try to do that from week to week, have something that's more than just me talking or Eric talking of interest. And I bet you didn't know, none of you knew, this year is the 75th anniversary of the FAA. Of air traffic control. And I didn't know that until Scott Robertson asked me the question, when did the FAA get started and all that? And it wasn't in existence in 1936 or whatever that math works out to be, but it is 75 years. So next week, we'll just continue on and we'll talk a little bit more about how we are protected, and not just, like I said, one layer, but multiple layers of protection. And that goes for air traffic control. That goes for me and my physical being, the layers of protection and support that you have from me being not qualified or not medically airworthy, if you will, and all the way into the systems in the airplane, where we have multiple layers of systems that are supporting us. So whether you're annoyed or become anxious, just thinking about being cooped up in that airplane, I point out to people, if you weren't worried about something going wrong, because people will say, I'm not worried about the airplane crashing or whatever. I'm worried about, me crashing, not being able to handle it. But I say, if it weren't for the fact that you're in an airplane and if you weren't worried about something going wrong, why would you worry about being locked up in there? So anyway, any last words of wisdom, anybody? Eric, you got any other?
Yeah, I'll take my reputation down another notch just in case it's not far enough down enough. I was early years ago, had just started out on the 757. I was already a senior captain, but had gone through all the training and everything, was making crossings over the ocean with the first officer. But as on every airplane, the seasoned first officers will tell the captain, hey, you've done all the stuff. Here's some of the nuances of how things really work. So I'm over there busily checking all the details and the turns at the checkpoint, just going like a little hamster, while the seasoned first officer is over there smiling at himself. And I look at the TCAS, or on the TCAS subject, I would never remember this again. And I see not approximate traffic, but in white, a traffic there, and we go, and we go by. There's no altitude, and I'm looking at it and just going, whoa.
And now is this over the middle of the water?
Out in the middle of freaking nowhere. So we theoretically would have known what it was. And so then the first officer goes, he says, do you want to sit there until your brain overheats, or do you want me to tell you what it is? And I said, okay, that's dinner and extra cocktail. Tell me what it was. He goes, it's a ship, Sherlock. They have transponders too, so they don't whack each other in the middle of the night when they're going back and forth across the ocean. And sometimes not often, but occasionally we would pick that up, and I would see it after that, and we go by the thing and go, wow, it's a super tanker or a freighter or something like that. And they're running the same deal in just the two dimensions. And once in a while the airplane would grab the signal. Sure.
Yeah. I've seen 3 missile launches when I've been flying, and and they separate us from that. They have airspace. They rerouted us as one day out of Albuquerque, and you see some interesting things out there. And Tracy, telling her, she was saying she happened to look out the window and she happened to see a Spirit airplane go underneath her in the opposite direction. Was it, Tracy? Or
yeah, it was the opposite direction.
Yeah. And I remember I had just gotten my wings, just headed for Vietnam, and I was flying on Delta way back in 1970, and I remember climbing out of O'Hare and looking down, and we had layered clouds, and we came through this layer, and there were 7 airplanes that I could see in a heartbeat, because you don't normally see them because they're spaced out by the background and whatnot. But in this case, when they're right squeezed in between the clouds, you have great, and we're all legal. Everybody's separated, but I thought, holy moly, that's pretty interesting. So, all right. So thanks everybody. Thanks, John. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Wendy, again, 1,000 times for making that trip for us. And
Yes, thanks, Wendy, 1,000 times.
Big time.
yeah.
Congratulations, you guys.
And
Thank
thanks for coming
you.
tonight. So
Thanks
for
we'll
having
see-
us.
And excellent joke, John.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And let me just thank Eric and Ron as well for everything that they've done for us during this past few weeks. It's been,
Mhm.
yeah, I think if Ron would get some pom-poms and a tutu and would think that cheering is not in the plane, he'd probably do that too.
Yeah, and that would definitely clear the plane if I had a pom-poms and a tutu. So, but maybe, what the heck?
Well, anybody who will do a class from their hospital bed has passion.
For sure.
or they're really, really sick. One or the other. So yeah. All right. Thanks to you all, and
Thanks.
I really appreciate it. We'll see you all next week for